Welcome to Prime Time, everybody. I'm your host, Turner Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
Doing great.
Going great.
Sweet. We are talking. This is the Roundup edition, and we are talking about the Scream franchise, the thing that we all love. As you can tell by Chad and Carrie's shirt, my shirt is somewhere. I just got to find it. But yes, we are talking all six of the Scream movies. We're going to go one by one from the first to Scream 6, and at the end, we are going to rank them from 1 to 6. So I am super excited to get into this. Scream is a near and dear, franchise to my heart, as you tell based on my tattoo right here. Love this franchise. It's the franchise that got me into horror, so super excited to get into this.
Yeah, same here. Like, honestly, I feel like this is why we formed this channel, is because we're all Scream fans, and we're like, let's talk about Scream a lot, and let's talk about horror. We just haven't revisited Scream in quite a while, but honestly, the Scream franchise is so special to me as well, because it was also my introduction to horror. Like, I had kind of seen a couple things, I think, before it, but then actually Carrie, at her college, people were doing a Scream marathon one night, and I was Screamathon, exactly. And I was very hesitant at first, but then I begrudgingly went, and then I was like, wait, horror can be fun? Like, this is actually really fun. I like these movies. And then I've just been like a diehard fan ever since. So, Carrie, you have any special Scream thoughts?
Yeah, it's the franchise that got you into horror, which was exciting for me as a big horror fan. To actually start watching a lot more horror movies, especially with you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of become part of our identity now, where we just watch a lot of horror. Sometimes we'll go on vacations, like little trips, to go watch horror movies. Yeah, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Scream, because, Scream is one of those franchises where a lot of people say they're just straight up horror comedies, but they're actually really serious horror movies that deal with a lot of serious subject matter. And yet they also have a lot of really fun camp in them that you can, have a lot of fun with. So I think that's where the comedy aspect comes from. I think that's why these movies are so fun, is because they have those little gags that you love, but the tone of them is really serious and rooted in a lot of great characterization and, depth of just stories, and every movie's a mystery. So there's just so much going on in these movies. There's a lot to talk about. So I think we should go ahead and get into it.
One more thing. We wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Scream, because when we first did a video together, it was Scream trivia. We were on an exhibition match together, and then we were like, oh, we all love Scream. We all are passionate about it. So, yeah, if it wasn't for Scream, we wouldn't have become friends, too. So
exactly. Yep. So this, we were like, let's do a roundup, and hey, wait, Scream has six movies. I know we've talked about Scream on the channel before, but it's honestly been a while. So I'm excited to get into it. Now that we shared all of our personal stuff about Scream, let's talk about each of the movies. And we're going to start with the classic, one of the greatest horror movies ever made, one that basically changed the game. And nowadays you can't really see a horror movie that doesn't have some sort of isn't some sort of way influenced by this movie, and it is 1996's Scream. Hunter, do you want to start with this? Your non-spoiler thouts, I guess.
Yeah,
no, you can do both. It doesn't matter. I forgot.
I was like, this movie came out in 1996, so if you haven't seen it by now, you've got plenty of time. But no, this is the movie that got me into horror. I watched it probably way too young, if I'm being honest. Remember not being able to get through that opening scene just because of how scary it was. And that's the great thing about the original movie, is that it marks a really serious tone, but you have characters who are funny, and that's where the humor comes from, the dialogue, not the actions. It doesn't make it like a comedy where the actions and the dialogue are both comedic. The scariness of it really pops out when, Ghostface, the attacks, the killings, and, as Chad said, it's a mystery. You're trying to figure out who the killer is. And Scream does a very good job at giving us just enough red herrings for it to make sense without going overboard on the number of possible suspects there is. Jamie Kennedy said everyone's a suspect. And that's what I love about this movie, is that you can really picture point anybody as being the killer. So as you're watching it more and more, you get more details and more clues, and it's a very rewatchable movie. Not only because of those clues that tie in, but because it's so entertaining at the same time being scary. There's some movies that are very scary, but I may not want to watch for a while because they could be also depressing. Scream is a fun time while also being completely scary.
Yeah, this is an incredible movie, one of my favorites. Like, I can throw it on all the time and not get sick of it.
I have.
Yeah, I know, same. The amount of times, like, we've all had to study this for trivia or just thrown it on
Yeah.
because Queen, or like, you know, you just want to watch it. Like, watching this the first time, I also watched it with Chad, like, at my college, and somehow the movie had not been spoiled for me yet. So
That's surprising.
yeah. I remember being like really surprising, like that there were two killers and like not knowing the entire time who it was, and being surprised that it was Billy because you think he's stabbed at one point and everything. And then like on rewatches, yeah, it's so quotable. Like, I don't know, it sets the vibe for just watching horror movies. It's always just so well acted and spooky and exciting. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we could just spend so long talking about this first movie because it is iconic. It, after Halloween, it took the reins and said, now everything's going to be Scream like after this movie, because it changed the game. It was meta about horror, and it made the characters aware of horror movies, and it made interesting characters that were made to live on after the first movie, because Kevin Williamson wasn't shy about making sequels and stuff. He had written a whole trilogy and whatnot, but like when it comes down to it, like the writing for it is just incredible as well. And it's one of those where you feel like this could have easily, if horror was more seen as something that could be prestigious, I could easily have seen this get a best original screenplay nomination, because the screenplay is just fantastic, coupled with the music, the great score.
Marco Beltrami kills it as always.
Oh yeah. And then you also have The Red Right Hand by Nick Cave, which is just an incredible needle drop, just really gives a personality to the movie. And then you have, like we were talking about, the mystery aspect. It makes it so rewatchable, as Hunter was saying, and just makes it to where you're always excited, even when you know who the killers are and stuff. You're always excited to see all of the interactions and all of how they handle certain things, like Sydney showing up at the door, and then Dewey with the mask, and then they both scream.
Yeah,
certain moments where Stu and Randy are both like, no, he's the killer, let me in, kind of deal, and it just gets so exciting because everyone's so believable that and even when you're like, Billy is obviously a sociopath this whole movie, but they do it so well with all the red herrings and stuff to kind of distract from Billy, and you just don't really know what's going on. You're almost like, well, maybe Billy is too
obvious of a killer.
Yeah, so it's got to be someone else. It's got to be Dewey, right? No one would ever believe that. But honestly, I feel like the first time you see it, you might think it could be Dewey.
Yeah, because you might think it's all an act.
Literally scary movie.
Yeah. Every scene in this just feels iconic. Especially when you get down to the third act, which is pretty long, but it's just one of the most fun third acts in any horror movie. And when you get the big reveal and you get all of the references to horror movies, it's just really, really fun. But then it's also very, very, very scary because it is about teenage killings and the rape and murder of Sydney's mom, and a lot of really heavy stuff in it. And then what happens to Casey Becker is brutal and just insane.
The most scary and probably iconic opening scenes.
Yeah,
you gotta think that opening scene takes about 15 minutes, and it's just pure terror all the way through.
Yeah, and to note that, I mean, we've talked about it on here before, but to note that it was Scream was written based on actual murders that happened. So was it Gainesville?
Yeah,
Um,
the Gainesville Ripper.
so that being connected to a real life thing also roots it in reality, which we'll get to times in the franchise where it's not rooted in reality,
Yep.
and it's some of our like least favorite parts. But yeah, this one is easily a classic. It's kind of a perfect horror movie. They use like the Halloween score in it. They cheat and use the Halloween score in it. I just love that little meta aspect of it. That I'm like,
And of course the watch out Jamie, they're behind you.
yeah, yeah,
Love it.
and just
Love
how
it.
iconic that is, and how they get away with using stuff like that to make a perfect horror movie. I don't know. It's just like nothing can ever really replicate this, even the sequels. Did we want to go ahead and do kills for these, or just?
We can talk about our favorite kills in this one as well.
All right, go ahead.
Mine's obvious. Mine's Tatum. I love the setup of it, the cat and mouse game, and then her just being trapped in that door, and then you just see it rise up. So innovative, so scary too, because you see that she's looking at the blade coming up to her. You just imagine her terror, just just absolute insanity.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and some of the iconic lines is, "Don't kill me, Mr.
Mr.
Ghostface. I want to
Ghostface,
be."
I want to be in the sequel.
Yeah. So, Carrie.
I think mine's obvious too, but it's Casey Becker.
Yeah.
I think that is like if I were to pick the greatest kill in horror movie history, I think that might be it.
Mhm.
Do you get a twofer with Stephen Orth?
Ooh,
Doesn't matter. It's part of that iconic
I
scene.
mean, it's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
And they're both.
I mean, technically, Steve was the first kill in the franchise. So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
And they were both. Well, if you don't count Marine, yeah,
well, seen on screen, I should say.
yeah,
and I mean, it's kind of terrifying to think that your boyfriend is gonna come and like save the day, and then
And then he's just trapped.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, they were both disemboweled, so it's like both really
Mhm.
horrible ways to go.
That Steve scene had to be cut down so many times to get Scream the R-rated, because they had to go through like I think 50 different takes and just kind of mess things around because it was so graphic. The original one was that it got an NC-17 rating.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll go with one that might be a little bit funnier, and I'll go with Kenny the cameraman, because
yeah.
I like when he's sitting there like trying to figure out this time delay, and he's like doing this, and then when he turns the other time, he gets his throat cut. And
The fact that we're laughing about a man getting his throat slit is kind of concerning.
I mean, it's all fake because it's movies.
Yeah.
Even though Carrie scolded me in Final Destination Bloodlines.
No one else in the theater was laughing.
Hey, but it was still funny from them. Yeah, it's just like kind of funny in the way that it happens because he's doing this. So, but yeah, it's all pretty.
Shout out
silly.
to Hembry's death. He just gets stabbed multiple times, and his face when he gets stabbed. Henry Winkler's face when he gets stabbed is so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a iconic movie. We'd hate to move on from it, but hey, we don't want to be here all night. So
Nope.
let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is, do I have the right poster? Scream 2. This is a very interesting one. Somewhat divisive, this one.
Really?
But yeah, I feel like there's some people who love it and go, it's right up there with the first one for me. And then some people are like, this is my lowest ranked. It's not bad, but it's not great either.
I don't think there's any bad Scream movies. Even the least one is still okay.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. And even with this one, and I guess I'll just it's Carrie's turn to start. But I do want to say, like, I know some people will talk about how it seems like because there was a script leak that they kind of made changes during it, so people think that it's not like well written. I just really disagree with that. But yeah, Carrie, you can go ahead and start with Scream 2.
Yeah, I love this one. Same thing. We watched this at a marathon in college. Same thing. It was just like fantastic to go through the twists and turns for the first time. Really did not know who the killers were all. I mean, I would say this one's one of the twistiest with like you barely see Mrs. Loomis / Debbie Salt. Like you see her in only a couple scenes during the movie, and so she's not an obvious suspect at all.
Yeah.
I love them as killers, Mrs. Loomis and Mickey. Like they're just so unhinged. Like it's so funny. Like that last scene is so terrifying and intense, but so much of it is also just kind of hilarious. And like that this franchise like walks that line so well between being really funny and actually really terrifying. I think it's just one of the most fantastic things about it. And like that this sequel carries that on and keeps that same vibe. It's just incredible. I love that they got Liev Schreiber to do just like, I guess because this was originally written as a trilogy, but they got him to just do the cameo in the first one and then come back for like a real role in the second one. And just the continuity is just like amazing there.
And I mean, he kind of saves the day at the end too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So you're kind of like, oh, this guy's like kind of a jerk, but he's not like kind of, he's not a horrible.
To be fair though, you would be a jerk too.
Yeah, if you were like mostly in prison, and a
for murder.
Yes,
I was about to say that.
He is the best excuse in the world.
Yeah, his desires are not the problem. The problem is how he goes about voicing.
Yeah, he's a little aggressive.
But
yeah, definitely in the library, major aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this one, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it, which is always amazing.
Scream 2 is the closest any other Scream movie has come to potentially surpassing the first one. I've never really put Scream 2 over the first one because the first one is such a classic and did so much for horror and just, it just really has like no flaws in my eyes. But Scream 2 doesn't really much either. I mean, I hear the things where people talk about Timothy Olyphant just kind of disappears for a while until he comes back. But I don't really see that as a problem, to be honest. The movie just goes in.
Most killers in the Scream franchise at least have one that just disappears.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll get to the later ones. And then you have, people don't like the long, drawn-out, cop car sequence. But that's one of my favorite sequences in the whole franchise. So
I only have one problem in that one, and that's why didn't you just rip that mask off?
Well, she tries to, and then she does the horn, and then she's so terrified that she leaves. So I understand sometimes I'm like, strip it off, Sydney, what are you doing? But then I totally kind of understand like being in the moment and not wanting just to immediately be stabbed.
My issue with that whole sequence is that she goes back and then gets her friend killed because she went.
Oh yeah, because she's like, she gets out and then she's like, maybe I can go back and just rip the mask off now.
Yeah. No, girl. Have you not learned?
Well, yeah, I don't know. But regardless, I think this movie is incredible. It's just one of my favorite sequels of all time. One of my favorite horror movies. We were lucky enough when they brought Scream 2 back into the theaters. We went and saw it. I
wish I could have. That would have been an amazing experience.
This was pre-baby, so we could do things like that. We can now, but we're more picky with what we go and see in the theaters these days. But yeah, I love the change of setting. I love how they go to college and everything to do with that. All the different fraternities. Try memorizing all those things for trivia. It's nuts.
I've asked questions about that before.
Yeah,
I'm so mad at me.
It's rough. Yeah, like you guys are talking about, the mystery is still incredible in this. The killers are great. Because they're somewhat so sparse in the movie and they're not right up in your face like Billy is. It's kind of surprising to see them pop up, and they do a really great job with a lot of the red herrings and stuff. Derek is really suspicious a lot of the movie, and then you feel bad for ever suspecting him at the end.
And Mickey makes you and Sydney feel like a piece of shit too. When he shoots him, he's like, he was gonna be a doctor.
That's right. That's right.
And you're like, man, why do you do that to me?
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that I adore about this movie is just a lot of the characterization. I think they make Gail an actual, likable person in this, which in the first movie only slightly. I think when she's like advocating for like Cotton's innocence and stuff, you kind of sit there and go like, okay, well, she's trying to do some good here. But every time she says like she's going to do something good, then she'll go, you know what this will do for my book sales.
One of my favorite Gale lines.
Yeah, so it's just fun to see her go from just a completely sort of unlikable person, but still on the right side, and to go to like the moment when she has with Dewey, where she apologizes for how he was characterized in her book, and says, I really mean what I'm saying right now, and you believe her. It's just such good, great acting and such great like chemistry. Of course, they were in a relationship at the time, so I guess you get that chemistry like that in that situation. But yeah, the Dewey getting like stabbed, in the what is it, the recording room or whatever.
Such a great chase sequence.
It's so epic, and just blood all over the window. Yeah, there's just so many great moments in this. It's really fun. Carrie mentioned Sarah Michelle Gellar. Oh, and no, you know what? I'll mention that during the kills if no one steals it from me. But yeah, it's just kind of a perfect sequel, and I love how they talk about sequels and how they say in the movie that sequels are inherently bad.
What's the line? Inferior to the original. That's literally the meaning of sequels.
Exactly, and and then they go ahead and make a great sequel.
Yep.
So
really love this movie. I haven't put it over Scream 1 as my favorite of the franchise, but it's a very great direct sequel to the original, which is great. It does everything a sequel should do. It takes what was given in the original movie and then enhances it. So we had Stu and Billy as the killer. This one we have the mother of Billy who is the killer, and it all just ties in and makes a lot of sense. I love Mickey as a killer. I think he's the perfect amount of crazy, but he can go over the top, and he does sometimes, but that's what you need in a great Ghostface killer, is somebody who can chew the scenery.
yeah,
And Laurie Metcalf as Debbie Saw and Mrs. Loomis is great. Big shout out to Dwayne Martin as the cameraman Joel Jones.
yeah,
The black guy in a Scream movie who's like, yeah, no, I see this, I'm leaving.
yep, and
Like,
he does.
and he survives. He gets out of there, which I love that. I love the opening sequence.
But that was apparently the actor's idea.
I did not know that, and that's amazing.
He's like, my character would just be gone, and then they're
That's
like, all right,
amazing.
fine.
Despite everyone's hiccups on him, I love Jerry O'Connell as Derek.
Oh,
I know there's some sequences that people don't like, including the cafeteria,
the singing
dance
one,
sequence. I love that. That
Same.
holds a place in my heart, man. When he starts singing, I'm singing along. Love Mickey's dancing in the background. It's the right amount of cheesiness and kind of wholesome moment, because you saw what Sydney is going through, and she needed that moment of happiness in her life, because everything was just snowballing into this. The Ghostface killer is back. She's being targeted. She needed a moment of happiness. And what's cool is she had the moment of happiness, and then it was ripped away from her when Mickey, of all people, is the one who ends up killing Derek. Love the third act. Love the big chase sequence. As you guys said, in the college sound room. That's a really great place to have it. Yeah, this is high up on my list. Definitely one of the best sequels of all time.
Yeah, and to touch on the cafeteria part, I just feel like that's what like a popular kind of like jockey kind of guy would do.
Mhm.
Is just be for laughs, because they're like the popular one. Like if you watch, I believe Say Anything, there's a really popular guy who sings at the graduation, and it's not good how he's singing, but everyone's like, yeah, you rock, dude, because that's the popular guy can be a little weird and cringy because it's cool to be that way sometimes. It's like,
And also, Of course, the Jamie Kennedy Randy death scene I think was really cool. The way it was done, I don't like that Randy died, but the way that he kind of went out, kind of on his shield, or he's talking on the phone, he's trying to outsmart the killer, and he's like, naming all of these college, slashers, and then he just gets yoinked in the van. The random dancing like posse that comes across, it always kills me. The truck is like shaking. All of a sudden, you see like these break dancers just come in front of the screen.
Yeah.
Um, very graphic, like bloody
Yeah.
scene as well. Surprisingly bloody. I mean, besides Drew Barrymore, I don't think they've ever gotten that like vicious on somebody.
The newer ones.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
newer ones did, but I mean, like looking at the old ones compared to this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, really love this. Really love this film.
Yeah, Randy death is controversial. We don't have to super get into that one. But it's one of those things where, when you accept it, you're like, yeah, it's kind of cool how they do it, but I just don't love that they chose to do that for just to, for kind of shock purposes and stuff. But everyone has their opinion about the Randy death. I did want to mention, because I forgot to mention, the like final sequence, the showdown in the theater, because I think that that part rules, because it's like she is in theater, Sydney, and then she uses it to like turn it into a death trap, basically, because she knows where all of the props and stuff are, and she can use that to her advantage, and she does, and I think that's incredible.
I also love how theaters and movie theaters are a big thing in this movie. We open up with a scene in a movie theater.
Yeah.
We saw the Agamemnon sequence with Sydney, and then the ending takes place at a theater as well. One of my favorite Mickey lines is he's talking to Sid after he kills Derek, and he's like, he's the type of guy that you would take home to your mom if you had a mom.
That's right. The writing in Scream 2 is incredible as well.
So good.
Yeah. And yeah, that opening sequence with the all of the the stab fans just like going nuts and stuff in the theater. That's so cool. I've never been to a screening like that, but I would love to go one day if people were being that nuts. Although it might just turn into the Minecraft movie crowd with people throwing chickens
Yeah, I was
everywhere.
about to say that's like the modern day equivalent, and
Yeah.
everyone got all pissed about it.
Yep.
So
we can get into the kills. Carrie, what's your favorite kill?
Jada Pinkett Smith at the beginning. I think it's so well acted, and it's just like I don't think you can top the first. Well, it's not the first kill. I don't think you can top like the main opening kill, like Casey Becker in the first movie. But this one comes pretty close. I think it comes the closest, I think, of any of the sequels. There are a couple other cool ones, at least one other cool one that's an actual kill. But yeah, this one, it's brutal. It turns from like something that's like everyone's having so much fun and you're kind of having fun watching it to like, just like Casey Becker's death, it just kind of gets like so real really quickly. And like you see the pain in Jada Pinkett Smith's eyes, and like everyone thinks it's part of the show and stuff. I think it's just really so well done. And she's just such an incredible actress, just like that they got her to do this little role at the beginning of the movie, I think just like elevates this kill so much.
Yeah, I mean that was going to be the one I would pick too, because I do think it's a better death and better scene than the original Scream one. Just because of the way she acts in it. This is the best acting in a death scene in the entire franchise, easily, hands down. Jada Pinkett, just the way she is stabbed so many times, and then pleads for her life as she walks up to the screen, still being continuously stabbed, and then gets up there, and then the way she falls down dead with her eyes just like dead is just, I can't even understand. I understand like the first one is iconic. You can't top it for being like the first one, But from like a meta standpoint and everything, this just scene is just like so incredible. And like I said, just the acting is off the charts. I mean, I did a whole debate of this where I picked this one, and I think I was fighting against
The
the Casey
original.
Walker scene, and I was, I won because I was like explaining why this death was just like scarier. And I'll go ahead and just shout out another. And I'll just shout out CC Cooper because it's Sarah Michelle Gellar, being hunted down and thrown off of a balcony. I don't know. It's just iconic, just like thinking about Buffy and peak, like, Buffy times being in a big horror movie. It's just so cool. Yeah, Hunter, what's your favorite?
I have two, but I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna go Omar Epps in the opening scene.
Yeah.
I just think the build up to it is great. The whole opening scene is great, just for how immediately violent it gets. Like he gets no like setup or anything. He just is stabbed right in the ear, and like
and then the killer like impersonating him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so creepy.
Yeah. So that's definitely my favorite of this film.
Yeah.
And then my second one was going to be Derek's death, just because of how sudden it was, and it was from Mickey
with his
best friend with a gun. You're just
yeah, no, those are definitely some great ones. And then you have like the cop who gets impaled in the head. Oh my God, some really great ones in here.
The golden chainsaw for the recount, I believe.
That's right. All right, so we can move on. Scream 3, another pretty divisive one. Scream 3 is, I think, really good, but it's one that has issues. So I can understand why a lot of people call Scream 3 like the bad one or the worst one, even though we all agree that there's no bad Scream movie. I think Scream 3, despite some of its, script issues where there's originally supposed to be two killers. I think Angelina was supposed to be the other killer, and then they kind of dropped that and just made it one. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense based on logistics and stuff like that. But, despite that, I still think it's really great. I know, like, there's some things, the position of the killer doesn't really make sense. And then I don't love that they have the marine ghost dream thing, which is just kind of weird and unnecessary, I think. But behind all that, my buddy James loves this one. He ranked it number one out of, all the Scream movies, which, I thought was like really fun, that he thought it was the best. But I think it's because he got a lot of the, stuff where they were commenting on like Me Too before Me Too was a thing, about, people being, exploited in the industry.
This is a film making like accusations of Harvey Weinstein, and it was a Harvey Weinstein produced film.
Yeah. Which is like, how they just like were so not self-aware.
Yeah.
And also just this is the one where Sydney kind of like lets everything go and finds like her inner peace and like leaves the door open and stuff. So there's a lot of really great like themes and sweet character moments, and she finds like someone that's not immediately either going to be a killer or be killed. And so, I think that's really great. And it's just really fun. I mean, Dewey gets hit in the head with the knife. I mean, you get like really fun stuff like that just, makes it really cool. I think this one's pretty great, actually. Even though it's probably like one of the weaker ones of the franchise, but I still really, really like it a lot.
So this is one that I hated for a long time. When I first saw it, I was like, this isn't like the other movies I watched before. But now that I'm older and I, rewatch it multiple times, it starts to grow on me, and that's mostly because it's an entertaining film. I'm never bored in Scream 3. There's always something happening where there's a funny joke or a funny line or something that keeps me engaged in the film. But the script is so messy, which is funny because it's written by Aaron Kruger, who recently wrote Top Gun Maverick. And that F1 script was... Yeah, and F1, which I heard F1 was great because of the script, and I loved Top Gun Maverick because of the script. So I don't know what happened with this one, if it was an early draft. Like as you said, I know there was a lot of script leaks and stuff like that, so they had to try to rewrite everything. there's a lot of issues in the script when it comes to like how can the killer be in one place and in another place at the same time. It just doesn't make sense. The half brother reveal, I don't like the mystery family member that we've always are just now finding out about. I don't like that trope in horror. This movie does have great moments, as you said, Chad. I love the evolution of Sydney's character, where in this one she starts off as a was a suicide hotline reporter, talker. I don't know how to really explain that well, but she works for a hotline and she's trying to help people go through their own struggles because she's gone through her struggles, and she's being cast out. I love that she's casting herself away because she doesn't want other people to be put in harm's way. That's what Sydney is great at, is really protecting those around her. I love the connection between Dewey and Gail. I love we dated, it didn't work out. I love the line that you just belong somewhere else. Like she went to, I believe, New York, right? Or was it 20 minutes to or something like that?
It's like 60 minutes too. I can't remember if it was New York or LA or if they even mentioned it.
It was one of those. But and then of course the great Parker Posey just giving hilarious performance. Love the meta joke with Carrie Fisher about I'm the one who was up for Princess Leia, but who gets it? The one who sleeps with George Lucas. Love that whole scene. There are some great things. Love the opening scene, by the way. Actually, I love and hate the opening scene. I hate it because they used the freaking voice recorder. Even in person it works, which I don't know how that makes sense. But I love that Cotton Weary gets, a final send off, and just seeing him in the car, in traffic. It's cool to see Cotton again, but that voice changer, man, that's the one thing that always sticks in my head of like, why did you have to make that a plot point? Especially back at that time where like we're barely getting technology like that today that sounds great, like the deep fakes and stuff. But back in 2000, we weren't getting any of that. That's the one plot point that always sticks with me. But overall, not a terrible movie, but it is lower on my list.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Parker Posey because I forgot to mention her, and she's one of the best parts of the movie. So I love how she teams up with Gail because she's trying to play Gail, and so it's just
good.
Really fun.
You're obsessed with her, and you're obsessed with her daughter.
So it's like a really fun dynamic.
I mean, I love this one. Like, I don't know. I really didn't think about its bad parts until like after I had seen it a few times, like, and kind of talk to people more in the community. And then you're like, oh yeah, there is a lot there, and you have a point. And I would say like this one is definitely the weakest with like continuity within the movie of who the killer is. Like if you watch the movie, it literally does not make sense for Roman to be the sole killer, like just based on if you watch the movie knowing he's the sole killer, it does not make any sense. But regardless, it's so fun. And like the characters in this one, like you said, like Parker Posey and like Patrick Warburton, like and Mark Dempsey even, they make this movie and all this like kind of more supporting cast of actors and actresses, and they make this movie so enjoyable and so fun because there are just so many great things about this movie. Like all of their characters are fantastic, and I don't know, it just makes the movie so much fun.
And we also get to see the debut of Randy's sister, Martha Meeks, who returns in 5.
That's right. Yeah.
Forgot in Scream 2 to mention Dewey's theme, which is one of my favorite things in the entire franchise. Yeah. so good. But it has a very Twin Peaks sound to it. It's really cool.
I'll also say that's kind of the Roman thing kind of makes me mad, and it still does, because it rewrites the Billy and Stu's motive from the original one, where it was like they're just doing it because they're teenagers, and then Billy has his reasons, Stu is just going along with it. I don't like that Roman was like, haha, I was behind it the whole time, like kind of the shadow person who like sends Billy after Sid. I don't like that. I just like the idea that like Billy and Stu are crazy, they're film fanatics, and Billy's mom left him. It just makes it feel more realistic when you don't have this shadow figure behind, like the puppet master with all the strings and stuff.
Can you hear that, Hunter?
Just a little bit.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we had to change up a few things here. It's fine, but now we're going to get into the kills of Scream 3. I don't know, let's start at the top. Hunter, what's your favorite kill?
So there's actually a pretty decent amount of kills in this film that I like personally. I'm gonna go with Tyson though. I just feel like the idea of him like running down the hallway and then just doing that sick backflip, almost breaking his neck, then just getting stabbed and thrown over the balcony. The most gruesome one maybe in this film of somebody who's not the main killer. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Tyson for this one.
That is a really good one. Carrie, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Tom Prince. The explosion in the house.
He who
Honestly,
smells the gas or whatever.
it's not there. Like the killer sends a fax or something to get them. It's just so off the wall. Like I don't know. It's kind of the most ridiculous one, but I feel like it also it sums up Scream 3 pretty well. Like it's a little bit ridiculous, but it's also kind of fun. So I'll go with that one.
All right, since I'm last, I'll mention two. One, I don't actually remember like the actual like killing, but like there's an after shot of the body. So I'll say, is it Angelina Tyler?
I think so.
When she's killed, and then like they see her body, and then it's just kind of dragged away on the stairs. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a cool shot.
That one's like pretty scary.
Mm-hmm. And then you have, I'll just say Roman Bridger, because I just love that scene to where where he's like just so crazy. He's just like running at them, and I love that Dewey's shooting at him, and it's like head Dewey head, and they want Dewey to shoot him in the head. And then he does. So I think that's a cool one. It is maybe, I don't know. I guess it depends on who you are and what you're looking for. But it maybe undercuts it a little bit that Sidney like holds his hand. It's like, why would you do that? Like he's the killer, kind of a deal. But then he doesn't he do the comeback thing after that? Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does. So that, but I think there's a few other ones that are pretty good too. But
honorable mention to Cotton's death at the beginning.
Oh, that's right. That is is another great one.
A quick shot of him getting stabbed in the head, like you barely see it before it cuts to the title sequence.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I feel like it's a good kill in Scream 3, but I think it's the weakest opening kill of all of the movies.
I don't know. I think 4.
Oh, I like 4, but I understand.
4 is just so weird.
It's goofy. But I think it's so fun.
But also, 5 doesn't have an opening kill.
Yeah, but it's still a really good opening sequence.
It is.
That's what kind of makes it special for me, is like in Scream 5, it subverts the expectation of an opening kill, and it has her be the survivor, which I like.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Cotton one's pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna move on to Scream 4. All right.
So Scream 4 is a very interesting film. It tries to do something new, and some of it works and some of it doesn't work for me. I think what really does work is how brutal this movie feels. Like, this is probably the most brutal like killings in the Scream franchise, just because of how violent Ghostface is, especially when you look at Olivia's death and things like that, where it's very just gruesome. I love that they brought back our main leads, and we get to see their lives. We get to see like Gail and Dewey being married and what their lives are like. I love the new characters. I love Kirby is a fan favorite. Jill is a great Ghostface killer. But there are some characters that of the main group that do feel like they didn't have a place, like the boyfriend character, and just some characters that feel like they didn't really have too much to do in this sequel. I do love that this was Wes Craven's final film. He got to end his, you know, his conclusion pretty much of his trilogy. Um, but overall, this is not my favorite, but it's not my worst either. I really enjoyed this film.
I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. It kind of like ranges for me where it ranks in the Scream franchises, like on any given day. And sometimes it's been like my number two. Sometimes I rank it a little bit lower, but I think it's really fun. I really like a lot of the new characters in this. I love having Jill as kind of our main like ghost face because I don't know, I think she's so fun and it's like unexpected and a little bit of a twist. And she's just like so unhinged. Like her at the end, I think makes it so fun. And like Hunter said, yeah, this is like I feel like starting with this movie, even the kills get pretty brutal. Like 5 and 6, I think the kills are kind of just as brutal. I think like kind of shows the different era of horror that we're in. And this is the only movie too, I feel like, where we get Dewey and Gail in like a nice loving relationship for the entire movie, and that's pretty nice. Like I like seeing them like that, and like I feel like I love 5 and 6 too now, but I would like if the franchise would have stopped here. I think I also would have been. We were all happy with it for many years. We would have probably continued to be happy with it, but it was a good ending for at least that time.
Yeah, I agree. I think Scream 4 is one of those movies that is super interesting because, like, I feel like it's really creatively different, a little experimental. But then I understand that it also, like Scream 3 had and Scream 2 really had some studio issues and studio involvement and whatnot. But ultimately, I like how they go back from the Hollywood setting back to Woodsboro. It's more so like a high school movie again, because we hadn't had that since the first one. And then you get to usher in some new characters. It's a little bit like what we would see later on when Radio Silence would come in with Jill and Kirby and the two guys from the cinema club. I love the idea of it focusing on is Jill Sydney's niece, little cousin, because I feel like you brought up Jill as the other Ghostface. Not only is she great and unhinged, but I feel like her motivation is something that drives a lot of people, whereas they might not go as far as she does or have the same intention, but a lot of people, because this is pre Gen Z, but it's kind of what the Gen Z era would become, is a lot of people want to be influencers and media famous and have this something crazy happen in their lives that could drive this narrative and make them interesting, and not just normal and boring. There's nothing wrong with normal and boring. A lot of the times that's safer, but Jill doesn't want that, and she's not satisfied with that kind of life, and she wants what Sydney has. And then Sydney's like, you don't want this. This is not good. This is not a good thing. At the same time that Sydney has kind of surpassed and at the same time we have Sydney, who's just getting over this whole mess with the killers and everything. Like at the end of Scream 3, it kind of seems like it's resolved and she's in a better place. She's writing a book. She's on a book tour. Just to have Jill come in and be someone in her family now. Well, I guess someone else in her family, if you count Roman as part of her family, brings her right back into this whole mess. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the new characters that are brought in. The deputy, Woody.
Woody.
Dewey's the sheriff now. That's why I said Woody. Dewey's the sheriff now, which is cool. So a lot of really cool growth in it. I agree with Hunter that it's really cool that this was cool and sad that this was Wes's last movie, but with it being Wes's last movie, you can see for me especially that it's hard for me to move on after this point when they decided to not just end the franchise but continue it. And so I have like a lot of thoughts about them continuing after this point. Despite this, I don't know, depending on who you ask, maybe the weakest of the original four, or might be slightly better than 3 or something like that. I normally rank it above 3, but I like them kind of both the same about. Although I do think Jill as the killer really elevates this movie to a higher level, I think, sometimes when you just really get into the parts where she activates and she reveals herself. She is in some ways the scariest Ghostface killer because she just doesn't give a shit.
I mean, she kicks the shit out of herself.
She does. It's like Liar Liar. It's like, I'm kicking my own ass.
My ass.
Do you mind? It's really something incredible. So yeah, I think this movie is really fun. I like it a lot. There's some parts of it that, I think drag at times. Some characters, like I think Hunter was saying, that aren't like the best utilized, but not the big of a deal. I mean, no movie can be perfect like the original Scream. So, but I think we should get into the kills. Carrie, what's your favorite Scream 4 kill?
I think my favorite is Jill, because I think that sequence is so good. Like, it's a good mix of like kind of scary but also really funny. Like, there's a lot of really funny lines in it, especially like when I think it's Gail is like distracting Jill and Sydney comes up behind her and is like, clear, and like it does her electrocutes her head. I can't remember.
No, that was like, sorry, she says clear and then she goes clear.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, it was part of that.
You're right.
Playing along.
Yeah, and then kind of at the end, I think after Jill has died, like they think that Hicks might be dead, but she comes up. It's not. I think she shoots Jill, right? Mm-hmm. It turns out she's like, wear a vest, save your chest. Like, yeah. I think it's just like a really cool sequence. And it's like satisfying to see Jill get taken down by the end.
Yeah, I love, don't fuck with the originals line and just the message of that. Does he need help with the stickers? What's going on? He needs help with the stickers. I'm actually going to go with Olivia's death because it's really crazy. I love that they're watching Shaun of the Dead, and then they call their friends, and then they're talking, and then they have the whole thing with Ghostface. It's the whole thing with I didn't say
your closet.
I didn't say your closet. And then he busts out, kills Olivia, and it's really brutal, and there's blood everywhere, and it's just really a really cool, like, set design and the way they do that. And it's just crazy. I mean, Olivia's not like this big character or anything, but it just, like, I think sets the precedent of how crazy this killer is. And
so mine was originally going to be Olivia, but I have another one. It's going to be Anthony Anderson's, I believe his name is Officer Perkins' death.
Fuck Bruce Willis.
Fuck Bruce Willis, yeah. He gets stabbed in the forehead. He starts swinging at the killer the completely wrong way. And then, of course, the great line, fuck Bruce Willis, as he dies. It's gruesome. It's funny. And the fact that Wes Craven got this from an actual, like, death is actually very, very scary. Because that happened in real life as well.
Oh wow. It's a really good one.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of fun kills from Scream 4. But I guess we should move on to the next movie that would come out like a decade later with Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it. It's the next Scream film, but it's not a Wes Craven film. It's a radio silence film. Do we start with Carrie? Do you want to talk about Scream 5?
Yeah, sure. So this was the first one that I'm not sure about you, Hunter. I know for me and Chad, it was the first one we actually got to see in the theaters.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Coming back after all these years, and it was like really nerve-wracking to like predict whether this was actually going to be a good movie or not. And like I've had my issues with it, but at the end of the day, it's a Scream movie, and I think it's a great Scream movie. And I think it's fantastic to say that we don't have like a truly horrible bad movie in this franchise, which is extremely rare for horror franchises. I thought this was a really cool way of, doing this requel and then making kind of the gimmick or the theme of it being requels, like, the rules of a requel and everything and how requels operate. And I think the characters are really cool. The killers, I really like the killers because I was able to guess one in the theater and like before the reveal, and the other one, and it was a guess. It wasn't. I think in Scream you can never truly know until they're revealed, and the other one was a complete surprise for me. I don't know. This has so many cool parts. There's things I don't love about it. Like I don't love killing Dewey, but I also see why they did it. I've said this a lot, I don't love the Billy Loomis flashback stuff. I feel like it was a little contrived just to get like a Skeet Ulrich cameo in there. But again, I see why they did it. Overall, though, those things I think don't really hurt the movie. They're just like my little nitpicks. Overall, I think this is a fantastic movie.
It's one of those things where I personally wouldn't go that far. I will always say that, well, until maybe there's a bad one someday, that there's no bad Scream movie. I do like this movie. I just don't love it anywhere near like the Wes Craven films. And I don't know if that's a mental block of mine where I'm just like, it just feels different, or if it's just really just different. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of people who adore the Radio Silence films, and I think that's okay. Just for me, they just don't feel the same. I don't know. I don't know if it's that I just don't like requels just in general, because I also didn't really love Halloween 2018. Like, the same movie as you got before, but a little different. And ultimately, it feels like a lot of this movie there's not much to it. It feels like it's just treading over a lot of the same ground. Although I will say I do love the killers and the motivations behind them, so I think that's one of the big strengths. But then there's a lot of the weaknesses that Carrie brought up, which she calls nitpicks, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel like the Billy stuff kind of drags it down a little bit, just because it's the same kind of issues I have with Scream 3, where it's, kind of like a ghostly type thing, even if you can kind of write it off as it's more of like this is happening in Samantha's mind. I still think it's like even still they're showing it, and it's like it's just so far from anything that we seen in like the first two Scream movies, the best of the Scream franchise, some of the best of horror, and then going and feeling like you need to add some of these elements, I think is not the best. That being said, I do think it's well directed. It has a lot of really fun new characters, and I like mostly what they do with the legacy characters. I love that they bring back the Dewey theme in the theater. Carrie and I were like, they played the Dewey theme. So like, I really enjoyed this the first time I watched it, and it's one of those with rewatches that I just feel like it started to go down for me more the more I experienced it. Although there have been times recently where I watched it and I go, am I unnecessarily hating on this movie at times? And then I'm just like, it can be both. It can be, there's certain things in the movie I just really don't like and wish weren't there. And there's other things that I think are great, like the third act. He was like, welcome to Act 3. Like, I love that type of stuff. I love Amber. I think she's amazing. She's hilarious. Richie's crazy as hell. I love that whole dynamic. And I've grown to love Sam and Tara more than I didn't really love them as much like earlier on when I first started watching this movie. I've grown to now be at the part where I actually kind of just hate the Dewey death. I think at the first time I saw it, it was one of those like, no, but then like, whatever. I know you're probably gonna have to do it at some point or like kill someone. Like Dewey had how many? He's not had 9 lives, and I guess we're at the 9th here. But I think I just like hate how they kind of like because I know they like make him seem kind of like dumb, where it's like Dewey probably would have known not to do what he does in the movie, and then they have him go back, and it almost feels like they set this up, and it just like they make the character fit the scene that they wanted to have, rather than have the character do what the character would actually do in that situation. Like I know he's like going back to protect them, but maybe him being with them would have been the best way to do it rather than going up and trying to unmask this person and then getting stabbed to death. And then just the fact that I just feel like it's like, how dare you? You're not Wes Craven. You're not Kevin Williamson. Who the f do you think you are to kill Dewey? This just makes no sense to me. So, anyways, yeah, I could really go off because I really kind of hate that scene now, and I wanted to get all of that out because I know Hunter is going to love on the movie, and I wanted that to be the last kind of little bit. So I have conflicted feelings, but I think it's good.
First off, yes, I am going to love on this film, but I will say I respect your opinion, Chad, but I also feel like in Scream 5, that is a move that Dewey would absolutely make. Because this is somebody who has been through all of these films, and he knows, especially after Scream 3, where he knows you have to shoot these guys in the head or they're going to keep coming back. He is at a point where he's lost everything. He's lost Gail. He's lost, being sheriff. This is the one thing that he can do to protect somebody and to end this once and for all. Like, this is like his final stand. And the great thing is Dewey's theme hits, and that's like an old Western, like, this is my final stand theme. And that's something that Dewey would do. He would protect those he cares about by saying no. Like, just shooting him in the shoulder or shooting him in the chest is not going to do it. Like, we have to go and shoot him in the head to really end this.
But then why wouldn't he just shoot the person in the head rather than getting close and trying to take the mask off or whatever, rather than just
because he was trying to. He was walking towards him to shoot him, but then Gail calls him. He looks down for 1 second because it's someone he loves, and that moment of hesitation cost him his life, which I love. I love that it all ties in of like Dewey and Gail and their love for each other is still there, and Dewey being a police officer, being a sheriff, being somebody who cares about the community, would give his life to protect somebody like that.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think it was well handled, but we can disagree on that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love this film. And for me, it gets better and better on every rewatch, and I think that's because of the connection between Sam and Tara. Their relationship, I think, is a really great part of this film because you have these estranged sisters who, weren't in each other's lives that long, and this Ghostface killings is what brings them together. And the idea that it ends up being in Scream 6 as well is Sam being overprotective of Tara because, that's her blood, that's her family. That gets more into Scream 6 as well. But that connection between Sam and Tara, I love very, very much. I think Melissa Barrera and Jen Ortega have great on-screen chemistry. Jack Quaid is hilarious, but he's also very terrifying when he's revealed to be one of the killers. I love Amber as a killer. I think she is she's on the level of Jill as craziness, because you can both see how, like, they're both willing to give each, to put their lives on the line for something they want. In that idea, I love the motivation of the killers being like, no, the last few stab movies were awful. We're gonna make our own. Which also ties into why Dewey had to die. As she said, our movies have stakes. There's so much that I love about this movie. I do get the criticism of, some of the things may not working out, and there is a few script issues, especially when it comes to trying to tie in a lot of the requel rules. But I think I can look past that because of how much more I love in this film.
Okay, so I guess we get down to the kills now. I'm gonna pick Amber. Amber, I think there's There's actually a lot of pretty good deaths in this. I'll say Amber, I think, is pretty great because it kind of like set up like a little bit of a thing with her, Mikey Madison,
Mikey
where
Madison, yeah.
it's set on fire in
Yep.
movie to the point where when she was in Honora, I was like, okay, when is Honora going to get set on fire and die?
That would have been hilarious if that happened.
No, I don't know. It would have been a worse movie if that would have happened. It did go on to win Best Picture. Yeah, I just think it's really cool because yeah. Doesn't she? Oh, she gets set on fire and then she still gets back up and
Mhm.
rushes at them, which is really crazy.
Her like melted face and stuff.
Yeah, but she's like kind of like pleading for her life, I think, before they kill her. But it's always kind of like a fake thing because she's just so unhinged and crazy. And I just love how she adds on to that. It's like Stu, Mike or Mickey, Roman's pretty crazy, but not as unhinged, I guess. And then you have Jill and then Amber. So pretty cool there. Hunter, what is your favorite kill?
So I have two, but I think I'm gonna go with the less obvious one. I'm gonna go with Liv's death.
Okay.
I think it's so simple, but it is the shock of realizing that Amber is one of the killers, and the fact that she just says boom, like she just shoots her in the head, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like,
Welcome to Act 3.
Well, welcome to Act 3, exactly. It's the shock of, oh shit, like, okay, you just came out like there's no big unmasking reveal or anything. Like, she just immediately just shoots somebody in the head, and you're just like, okay, like, we're here now. Like,
she grew impatient, okay?
yeah, she really did. She was like, you know what, I'm done with all this. Like, Liv's not the killer, obviously, it's me. The shock value of that puts it over what my other one was going to be.
It's almost like if someone's playing like werewolf or some board game, they get their identity, and then they're just like, "All right, I'm the werewolf. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep a straight face this whole time." That is a great one. I was thinking about doing that one for sure. Just anything with Amber, I think is just incredible in this movie. Carrie, what's your favorite?
I think my favorite is Richie.
That was my other one.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Richie too. That's so brutal and crazy.
Yeah, it's brutal.
What about my movie?
And what's her name? Sam, like, she's just like I'm gonna introduce another rule, like, don't fuck with the daughter of a serial killer.
Serial killer. I love that line.
That is the only part I kind of like about the Billy Loomis stuff, is it kind of like ties in that scene specifically. You kind of see like how brutal she can be, and he's just like so deserving by that point in the movie. You're just like cheering Sam on and everything. So
I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know if you're cheering Sam on to stab somebody 40 times.
I don't know.
I mean, I was.
Can in a fictional movie.
No, but I just mean like, and that it plays into like what we get in Scream 6, where her actions end up becoming so overkill, you can kind of see her as villain-esque in that way, which is a little bit. I was just saying, like, I don't know if it's like a super cheering on moment. It's more like, holy shit. That's what I say, is like, holy shit. I'm not like, yeah.
That was me in the theater. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, yeah, get him, Sam.
Okay. Anyways, proceed. Sorry.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely a great death. It's really brutal. It's really crazy, and it's just like crazy to see. Like, and we didn't even talk about Wes Hick.
Stab through the neck.
I totally get it. And like, I think like when you think about the kills in particular, like those are the moments where this movie is a little bit elevated too, where it's just like not effing around. I don't know why I censored myself there, but all right, yeah. So this movie's a cool return to the Scream franchise. I guess now we can move on to Scream 6, the second radio silence movie in the franchise, and the sequel to Scream 5, and the return of what we will now be known as the Core 4. Scream 6, for me in particular, you just heard me talk about Scream 5, where I've been conflicted with this movie for a while, where I've gone from really liking it to almost on the verge of disliking it to coming to terms with being able to like some things in it and then also just groan at some things to wondering how I was going to feel about Scream 6. Saw it in the theater. I thought it was a blast. I liked what they did with the killers in this. I like how they amped it up. They, changed a lot of stuff, like the whole formula of how you do an opening kill, where they kind of changed it. And it's like, wait, we're not supposed to see this part, right? It's supposed to cut to title card, and then we
I love that. Okay.
and they just keep going, and we get to see more of what the killer is going to do. And it's not the main killer; it's Tony Revolori, and and then I love how they transition to New York college for some of them, and then you have this whole thing set up between Sam and Tara, like they want to kind of be tight with each other, but they're strained because Sam is now being overprotective of Tara, and Tara wants to do
Be
her
your
own
own person.
thing, but Tara's she doesn't be her own person, but she's always like targeted by these people. And so it's like, it makes sense that Sam wants to protect her because she doesn't want her sister to just be up and killed. But then it's like, well, Richie's dead. Let me go to college and just. Yeah, I think this movie, it just gets really big, really fun. There's a lot of really cool sequences. Like the ladder sequence is really cool. Even to see like how they filmed it was really cool. I love like the big like theater set piece that they had that had all of the like Scream merchandise from the whole franchise. You had like the whiteboard where they were plotting out all the stuff. So it really did its homework, and it was really, trying to, really dive deep into the franchise. And I liked a lot of that. I thought that was really cool. The return of Kirby was really interesting that they did that, because everyone thought she was dead, and they're like, nope, she's not. And I thought it was fine that they did that. It was really cool to see her return. I liked the reveal that it was 3 killers. I thought it was a whole family. That was really cool. And just unhinged. That the Richie's dad is just crazy, dude. I love the how they brought Sam and Tara at the end, like the whole thing, let me go kind of a thing. It comes into play, and like how they defeat the villains and stuff. But with that, they're becoming closer together, and I thought that was really cool. And then we get more Sam being brutal and crazy, and
Her hiding behind Billy's mask was awesome.
Yeah. And just how they play that. I love how the ending of it could kind of seem like continuation of like things to come, or like a ending to the Carpenter storyline.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like Radio Silence sensed that they were about to move on and go do something else, or if they seriously just had plans of continuing. And then everything, all of the fallout that kind of happened with Spyglass and Melissa Barrera, and then all of the different stuff that has happened in the production of Scream 7 to finally get to where they're filming and stuff now, and actually have a release date and things. And we could get into Scream 7 discussion if we want. I like how the ending of it didn't feel like something where if you stop the Carpenter storyline now, it would feel weird. It feels kind of complete, but it could have continued if they wanted to. And it's sad that they won't, or maybe won't. I don't know, because there could be surprises. Maybe they're apparently casting everybody in this movie. I thought this one was really good. I think it was a little bit of a step above 5. Maybe just because it was bigger and something different. I feel like 5 just wasn't. That I liked it a good amount more, and I think this one's actually really cool and fun.
Yeah, so I really love this movie. It gets better on a rewatch. Like most Scream movies get better on a rewatch because you know who the killer is. You can go back and kind of see clues and stuff. I agree with Chad that I love how big this movie feels. Like it feels more on a grander stage, which I love. I love the Carpenter sisters. I love Sam and Tara. I love their interactions, especially the it's time to let me go moment, because you can see how protective Sam is over Tara. And as an older brother, I get that. You are so protective over your siblings, but there comes a time where you have to let them be their own person as well, and like trust that they are going to make mistakes, but they know what they're doing. Absolutely love the ladder sequence. I think that's one of the best like chase sequences in the Scream franchises, just because it goes all over the place and it feels so massive. I just love also how this movie takes social media in aspect of like, we all know that Richie was the villain, but of course, if you go on Reddit or you go on, any social media site, you're gonna have those people who are saying that, oh, Richie's not really the killer. It's actually
Yeah.
Sam who was actually the killer, which also ties into what people were saying after Scream 5, which is like, what is actually Sam's motivation at the end of that film. So you also get like a lot of that connection of real life. I absolutely love the scene in the kitchen where Sam is talking about like it sucks to be this hated, because you also know that comes from a real life event of like, Scream fans really hated Melissa Barrera in Scream
Yeah.
5 and kind of bullied her after Scream 5 of saying like, she was a bad actress, things like that. So the fact that they had this scene where it's like, Sam the character is also being hated, also ties into real life of Melissa being hated for her acting in Scream
Yeah.
5. So I like that parallel. And then of course, Chad being the MVP of this film, the core four, coming up with the core four, saying that there are slight issues I have, and I'm willing to look past it. The one issue I do have is Gail's character being written in a way of just not caring about Dewey anymore. I kind of have a problem with that one. I understand what they were trying to do of like, well, Gail is a reporter. She's going to make books about this. That's how she can stay relevant, is making books about the events that happen in Woodsboro. But I kind of would have liked them to open up with Gail maybe having the book about Dewey written, and that's where the story arc was going. But overall, that's a nitpick to me. I really, really love Scream 6.
Yeah, I just want to add, I do think that the parts where they're being meta and like actually like having good commentary on like society and like what the internet does now, and 5 and 6 are when radio silences screams are at their strongest.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with the Gale point. I mean, I agree with you, Hunter. I think they did Gale kind of dirty in this movie, because literally up until this movie, she's had very consistent character development, but from going from 1 all the way up until Scream 5. And like she always has these little like things, like setback things, or things where she like again starts to turn towards like reporting and stuff. But it's like 4 and 5, it seems like she's really moved past all of that. And then to have her in 6 just do a complete turn and be basically like the same Gale she was in the first Scream, especially after like all the things like that happened in Scream 2022. I don't know. I think it is like the weakest part of the movie. I think they could have written her into the movie and had conflict between her and Sam and Tara in like a better way. I'll say the only other thing that like I don't love about this movie, I don't know, like the killers, like their actual characters, I don't know. I just don't love it, but the thing I do love about this movie is that it's like a requel of Scream 2. Because at college, the motive of it's only the motive of one of the killers in Scream 2, but the motive of the killers in this one is revenge. Like, how does she say it? Good old fashioned revenge. And like they're getting justice for the killer of the prior movie. I think all of that is really, really cool. And I thought it was so fun. I did not see the killers coming at all, which was really cool. and that there would be 3 of them. We finally have a movie with 3 killers, which is really awesome. And like you guys, I think Chad mentioned, the opening in this is so fantastic to really
One of my favorite openings of the Scream franchise.
Yeah, and to like flip the script on us again and find a new way to do one of these openings was just fantastic. And yeah, I think overall a good movie. I think the character work is strong with the core 4. So yeah, I love it.
Hunter, do you want to? What's your favorite kill of Scream 6?
So this one's gonna be obvious, but it's got to be Annika. I love, as I said, I love that whole chase sequence. Starting from when Ghostface is in the bedroom all the way to when Annika just is on that ladder, and you're on the edge of your seat, and then it just gets turned over, and you just see her head go off the trash can. You're just like you physically cringe when that happens, because I actually like Annika as a character. We didn't get a lot with her, but you can see how much her and Mindy love each other, and the fact that Mindy is there watching as she falls is just so heartbreaking.
I think my favorite is, I think his character name, I just looked it up, was Jason Carvey, but it's Tony Revolori's character, who is technically the first killer in this movie. I mean, I guess technically we have like 4 or 5 killers, because wasn't his roommate also?
Yep. His roommate was going to be a killer.
Was going to be, yeah. But I think it's just it's like basically that whole sequence in the opening where it continues after the first kill. It's just so cool and such a twist. Like I said, I think that's like my favorite in this movie.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm gonna go with the one right before it, Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
The opening sequence, which is one I'm really sad about, because I liked her character a lot, and it's like one of those where I kind of, I guess it's kind of like a Casey Becker kind of thing, where it's like you like her character, and yet she's killed in the first scene. And I kind of wish like maybe that would have been like a thing where the teacher, could have been a big character in the movie, because I liked how, she's like this beautiful woman who's kind of awkward and weird, and I'm just like that's an interesting character, where you don't necessarily see that a lot in movies. And so I kind of would have liked to see Samara Weaving be more in this movie. That being said, it is a really cool kill. I like how they're talking about film analysis in school again, like they did in Scream 2, but it's like a teacher who is doing a what is she teaching? Not just a horror. Slashers.
Studies. Yeah, slashers.
Slasher movies, and I like how he's like, what's your favorite scary movie? He's like, oh, not that one, which is really funny. And then the whole idea of like, you're a slasher film studies teacher, and you walk down
into a dark alley all alone.
Yeah, exactly. And
so on that one joke where she's like, not that one, I wonder if that was a reference to Casey Becker in the original one, where she's like, the first Nightmare on Elm Street was scary, but the rest sucked.
Yeah,
I wonder if that was a direct homage to that.
It's like an in joke with that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that sounds. I like when they do like little references to movies that we know and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they exist in that same world. Yeah, and that's a really brutal one, and it's just really cool, but also really sad. So
now I see something red.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that'll do it. I don't know. Did you guys want to have thoughts on Scream 7? I honestly think we could probably make that a separate video.
Yeah, we obviously can.
Know a little bit more about it too.
Yeah, let's do that, and we can, because this one's a little bit long enough already for a roundup, and but I'm glad we did it, because we're thinking about some great ideas for roundups that we can do, not just new movies, but a lot of old movies, because there's only so many new movies that are coming out anyways, and we're going to have to do some classics, and we're constantly thinking about other things we can do. We're like, we did Final Destination, why not do Scream? I know we already discussed a lot about Scream, but hey, the movies always stay the same, but we change, and sometimes our opinions change, and sometimes they solidify more, and it's just always fun to talk Scream just anyways. So I had a lot of fun with this one. Any other thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
Are we going to do our overall ranking real quick?
Oh yeah, we didn't do our ranking. Let me pull up my ranking. Do you have your ranking, Karen?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
just
I
have
have
it in your head?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go through and do our individual rankings, talking, ranking them from 6 to 1
Mhm.
individually. And then we're going to reveal our overall ranking, which Carrie is nice enough to compile for us as we go through it. So, Hunter, what's your 6 to 1 of the Scream franchise?
All right, so my number 6 is Scream 3. My number 5 is Scream 4. My number 4 is Scream 2. My number 3 is Scream 2022. My number 2 is Scream 6. And my number 1 is Scream.
Wow. All right. Wow. I don't know if that was the same last time, but Carrie, what's your?
Okay. My number 6 is Scream 3. My number 5 is Scream 2022. My number 4 is Scream 6. My number 3 is Scream 4. My number 2 is Scream 2. And my number 1 is Scream, the original.
Okay, all of ours are going to be really different. Okay, mostly different, somewhat different. I mean, my 6 is Scream 5. My 5 is, it's hard to listen to the numbers. My 5 is Scream 6. My 4 is Scream 3. My 3 is Scream 4. My 2 is Scream 2, and my 1 is Scream from 1996. Got so confused. I was like, did I say the same thing?
Confusing.
And Carrie's having no issues with it. She's almost got our final overall ranking.
At number 6, we have Scream 3. At number 5, we have. Oh, wait, no. We have a tie. So at number 5, we have Scream 3. At number 4, we have Scream 2022. Tied for number 3 is Scream 4 and Scream 6. Number 2, Scream 2, and then number 1, the original Scream.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
nice.
I can get down with that.
That makes sense that in our
Scream
favorite
3.
franchise, there's a tie.
Scream 3
Yeah.
always underrated. I swear to God. All right.
Different days, I would have put that as like my number 4. I kind of treat like 5 and 6 are kind of like really always like ranked the same kind of for me. But
Gotcha.
I don't know. I rewatched Scream 3 recently. It's not as bad as I keep remembering it to be, but there's so many like script issues that I just can't get over.
yeah, I mean, I think it's the only one where it is just glaringly obvious that the killer could not have actually conducted all of the murder.
Yeah.
And I hate kind of plot holes like that. So
But again, there's no bad Scream movies
Yeah.
to me. So
Yeah. Well, there you have it. There's our thoughts, our rankings, and we all love Scream so very much. And I hope you do as well. Let us know what your thoughts in the comments. And if you have suggestions of other roundups we can do, throw those down in the comments too.
Exactly.
Other than that, Hunter, please close it out.
all right, if you guys did enjoy this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe to Welcome to Primetime, and remember, stay scared.
Ooh.